All right, we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited about another episode of Wealth Matters. I'm really excited about our guest this week. It's just been a pleasure to make his acquaintance and get to know him. And I'm just grateful that you have made the time to join us here on Wealth Matters. I believe it's going to be a conversation that's going to bless a lot of people. And so we'll just kind of give an overview as we do of Wealth Matters, recap a little bit from our last episode, and then we're just going to turn you loose and I'm going to ask
Okay.
you some questions and we'll go from there. So Wealth Matters, again, as some people know by now, started out of our Financial Dominion Week. And I just believe that this is a time for us to, in light of COVID and this post-COVID era that we in, to realize that we cannot continue to overlook our finances. It's going to take money to give generously, to spread the good news, to do what we need to do to demonstrate the compassion of Christ to humanity. And so God said we need to be like the sons of Issachar, who have understanding of the time and know what Israel ought to do. And Wealth Matters is coming to you to help you know what you ought to do with your money. All right. And we had a great conversation the last time we were on, and we're just going to pick up from there. Rob Wilson, I want you guys to know the caliber of person that we're bringing to you. We bring you great guests every week, but I'm so excited about what Rob is doing. He has something called Wealth Wisdom 712, and that's what really, really intrigued me about what he was doing. It's an 8-week wealth wisdom class. Just like you would take Financial Peace with Dave Ramsey, Wealth Wisdom is the same kind of offering, and it's biblical, it's sound, it's thought-provoking, it's different, it's unique, and that's how I got connected to Mr. Rob Wilson. And so he's doing great things, been doing it for years. He was hailed as a financial literacy champion and ambassador by the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. He's been on CBS radio for years, did radio for years talking about this. I mean, just a wealth of wisdom. So it's apropos that you named your 8-week class Wealth Wisdom. Rob, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure being with you. It's a great pleasure.
All right. Well, I just want to start by asking you some questions and we'll just have a conversation from there.
Okay.
As I said, you've been a champion of financial literacy for years now. I mean, you've seen a lot of stuff. You've developed expertise and knowledge, great knowledge in a lot of different areas of financial literacy, from credit repair to investing to insurance to all kinds of things. So you've seen a lot. And so I want to ask you this question because a lot of times people are dealing with multiple things and you've seen multiple things. So let's say somebody's dealing with multiple things. Let's say they are in debt. All right, they're in debt, they have bad credit, and they have an idea from God and they believe with all their being that it's from God to start a business, an idea for a business. What should they do first? Where do they start? Which one do they tackle first?
Well, the first thought would be there's a scripture in Proverbs. Can't remember the chapter and the verse right now, but and I apologize for that. But there's a scripture that says, "It pleases God richly to bless you richly and add no sorrow."
Mm-hmm.
I believe that when God gives us gifts, oftentimes they are seeds, and like any seed that we have is not an immediate seed. And sometimes when we're in the midst of turmoil, we feel that, oh yeah, okay, you know what? God gave me this idea. It's been in the back of my head. Let me go do this. And then we begin to throw resources behind that idea and behind that dream and behind that passion and behind that gift. And because we have not done the diligence to acquire other things that may be necessary. Mm-hmm. Whenever I receive a seed, I want to find out how long must I allow this seed to die before I replant it? Because oftentimes you don't plant live seeds. Most seeds die in order for you to be able to replant them and get a harvest.
That's
and
true.
we don't understand that. We don't see that in our financial lives because we need things now. We are in a microwave society to where we make decisions based on now. What is my now feeling like? What does my now require of me? So what I like to suggest to people is, God has given you a gift. Identify what that gift is, and then figure out how your tags, TAGS, your talent, your ability, your gifts, and your skills impact the seed or the dream that God has given you. Because when you understand what your talent, your ability, and your gifts and your skills are to do or interact with that particular gift or desire, then you realize, okay, I can now begin the process of manifesting this. So I try to have that conversation with people first. And sometimes that sounds like a dream killer, but delay is not denial. And recognizing that delay is not denial allows us to become more diligent in our efforts to accumulate wealth. And I want to be careful how I say that, because too many times we hear people tell us that we need to take baby steps, or people tell us, well, it may not be your time. And I just use a very good one. Delay is not denial. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have action to take now. It means that you need to have your focus, changed a little bit. Money is mental.
Say that one more time. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. That was a great quote unquote soundbite, but a great nugget of wisdom. Money is what? Say that one more time.
Money is mental.
Okay, now tell us what you mean by that.
I'm gonna start saving the next time I get a raise. When I get a job that pays me more, I begin to do other things. I want to get out of debt, but I can't right now because my job doesn't give me the resources to do that. I need to find me another job because I don't like the one that I'm on. These are all mental thoughts that hinder us from moving forward. Okay. They are all mental thoughts that's hindering us from moving forward. And therefore, there's a scripture in the Bible, there's a story in the Bible, nothing but. Now, I'm gonna just use nothing but for a moment. Most people don't get out of debt because of nothing but. And nothing but is not being able to recognize your talent, your ability, your gifts, and your skills, your tags. Okay. Your talent, your ability, your gift, and your skills. Let me translate that into, okay, dude, that sounds good. That sounds real spiritual, but I have to live every day paycheck to paycheck, okay? Your time, what are you doing with your time as you begin to create the process of creating wealth? What type of time are you devoting to focusing on what am I actually doing with my money? What accountabilities have you placed on your money or even on yourself to be more responsible with what you do with your money? What is your giving like? What type of tithes and offerings or what is your giving like to give to others? How are you doing that? And then the S is significant. This is very significant, right? The S is like, what is your speech, your sound to yourself in your spirit? What are you saying to yourself? That self-talk is because yeah. Oftentimes, if you're not motivating you, if you're not encouraging yourself, then regardless of your time, your accountability, and your giving, regardless of your talents, your ability, your gifts, and your skills, if you are not doing those things, right? If you're not doing those things, then you're going to have financial problems. Okay. I wanted to just dance when you started talking, because just this past Sunday, the focus of my message was time management.
You know, the scripture talks about teach us to number our days so that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. And a lot of times we waste time, but we don't connect that time is also money. Time is money. Time is valuable. Time is a resource. And so the ways that we manage our time, the ways that we manage other resources that God has given us is is going to flow over into how we manage money. So I almost wanted to dance when you said that, but I definitely resonate with what you're saying about that S. That S is important. Our self-talk, the things that we say to ourselves. And I told our
Yeah.
people on Sunday, you have all the capacity within you to be a multimillionaire. You have to discover that. You have to
Mhm.
hone it. And the discipline of management and managing yourself comes into play there. So one thing I want to ask you about when you talk about managing the time, the tags. I love that, by the way. I'll share something with you about that when we finish. But I love that, the tags. Um, I want to ask you, when you talk about that time management piece, talk to me about budget action. I want to hear more about budget action because many people, my folks, don't know about budget action. And to me, there is an aspect of discipline that comes with budgeting and management
Yeah.
and savvy. So can you talk a little bit about budget action? Tell the people what that's about.
Well, budget action basically require you to take a real hard look at what you're doing financially. And basically what we did, we took all the work out of your due diligence. We changed your due diligence. And the reason why we changed your due diligence is because we want you to focus on the mental. If I can get you to worry about the mental and take away the anxiety of and the burden of a budget. Oh my gosh, I got to get on a budget, right?
Mhm.
What we immediately tell people is this. First of all, we have three things that we want to do in your life. We want to teach you how to provide, protect, and preserve a way of life for you and your family. If we fail to teach you how to provide, protect, and preserve a way of life, then it doesn't matter what you do with your money. It doesn't matter. You're not going to accumulate wealth. You're not going to become wealthy. You're not going to leave an inheritance for your children, because the three key elements is providing, protecting, and preserving.
Okay.
So in doing so, the budget action says, okay, you have an income. What are the things that you're providing to make you who you are? You like cable? Great. Put cable in your budget. You eat out? Great. You get your hair done every other week? Great. You get your nails done? Absolutely. Marvelous. But now you have these life things that you do. You have the God thing that you do in terms of your tithes and your offerings. You have the household requirements that you do. And now you have that thing, what we call, and I don't believe I'm going to do this on a live video, but we inside our system, we call it dirty money. Now you
Okay.
have dirty money, and dirty money is money that you pay towards debt. And because you have this dirty money, we now look at how do we now take focus on targeting this dirty money and changing the course of your life without changing the course of the rest of your life. See, the course of the rest of your life is clean. It's good.
Okay.
It's who you are.
Okay.
So our goal is, as I said from the beginning, provide, protect, and preserve. So
Mhm.
now I've identified what my lifestyle is like. Now my mission is to protect it. How do I protect it? I look at this dirty money. I say, okay, I have to get this dirty money function out of my life. I have to eliminate this debt out of my life. I
Mhm.
have to now become more diligent in my efforts to eliminate this debt. But at the same time, you now need to work to a stage of preserving it. And preserving it is, how do I create wealth while I'm currently eliminating my debts? What most people do, and what most of my other professionals in this industry do, they coach this idea of liquidation.
Okay.
Liquidation is for poor people.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, now I'm going to stop you because you're about to kick against a lot of what people have heard and been ingrained with, that first you eliminate the debt, and that's the only thing you focus on before you do anything else. So tell us about how what you're doing is a little bit different than that.
Well, we focus on creating wealth and eliminating debt at the same time.
Okay.
So we don't believe in liquidation. If you enter into a budgeting system or a budgeting cycle and you have $100,000 in the bank, and I want you to hear this very carefully. You have $100,000 in the bank, but you also have, let's say, $44,000 worth of debt. It's very easy for someone to say to you, well, listen, you got 100,000. You could take 44 out of this 100 and pay off your debts. And now you have all this money that you can do these things with, and now you can replace that money back over time. Well, that doesn't work. It hasn't worked.
Okay.
And to coach that as a method, then that's telling you that it's okay to liquidate. It's okay to liquidate. Wealth is accumulated, it's not liquidated.
Okay.
So you don't ever want to get in a process where liquidation becomes a part of the process. Now, let me give you a very example that validates that. You work for a major Fortune 500 corporation. You had a 401k that was very substantial. You reached the years where you could take early retirement, and you get a buyout. And so now you have roughly about $650,000 that is earmarked for your retirement.
Okay.
That is earmarked for your retirement. But you've always been a great cook. Your scampi and your scallops and
All right.
your pan-seared salmon
Come on now.
is the best of any.
Okay.
You want to go open up your restaurant. So first of all, you chose one of the highest negative growth businesses in the industry.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So you want to open up a restaurant. And so now it's going to take you $300,000 to $400,000 to, one, open up that restaurant, get the establishment, build it out the way you need to have it built, buy the furniture. Oh my goodness, you got to have the plush furniture for this restaurant. You can't just have anything. This is your first business. You got to have the signs, the neon signs, right? Mm-hmm. And then someone said, well, listen, you're going to do this. You might as well promote it so that everybody can know you're here.
Okay.
And then you hire a staff. And you hire a staff, and you don't have, and see, whenever you're in business and you hire a staff, you should have at least three, hear me very carefully, you should have at least 3 years of operation expenses when you hire a staff.
Okay.
When in any business, you need to have that, because that is your payroll. That is your sustainability for 3 years.
Okay.
Right? But you've now liquidated $650,000 of your personal net worth, your wealth, what was going to be able to create wealth for you or be wealth for you in your later years when you're no longer able to work. Well, you say, well, Rob, it's worth taking a risk. God has always placed it on my heart that I'm a great cook. But being a great cook doesn't necessarily make you a great business owner.
That's true. Okay, there's a difference.
And so there's a substantial difference. And so we have to be careful in how we liquidate our assets or our resources, because that's not what wealthy people does.
Okay, so tell us the difference. Tell us the difference.
I just did we do something called wealth mindset. And our wealth mindset was this last Wednesday, a week ago from tonight.
I missed it. Yes. I missed that. I got to catch the next one.
Well, we moved it from Thursday so it won't interfere with Bible study anymore. From Wednesday to Thursday. But we had a millionaire on. And he was talking about, he had 4 children in college.
At the same time?
At the same time. He's a multimillionaire. Multi-millionaire. You know what his out of pocket is per semester?
I don't know.
$1,500.
All right. Okay.
$1,500. And to hear him talk about how he geared his children to focus on their passion so that one, they were going to a school and a passion that suited who they were and what they wanted to do in life. That was the first thing. Second thing, he had them and held them accountable so that they can get the grades, that they would qualify for the scholarships necessary, that he did not have to spend his money for their education. So
Rob, I was just talking to somebody about this.
Yes.
I was just talking to somebody about debt-free degree and how, we don't have the information that other people have. So we end up spending more money because we don't have the information for all the ways you can go to college debt-free. Oh my goodness.
We have the information. I believe we have the information. We think that, that sounds too easy. Okay. My book is going to be smart. He's going to go to an Ivy League school. Well, you go to an Ivy League school, you pay 5 times the cost for a degree that you could have got here. And then you send him to an Ivy League school that he didn't even pursue the trade that he wanted to end up with. See, it's been proven that education has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to work on a job or find a job or build a business, right? So if you're not in that passion, like one of his daughters want to be a chemist, but she's always wanted to be a chemist from like 8 years old. So now she's in high school. She still loved to do the chemistry. So he always have focused her on chemistry, right? And then one of the other kids want to be a swimmer. So, you have to find out the nature of what your child is. I never tell individuals to create a savings account or a 529 plan for the kids to go to school. I mean, if you're banking on the fact that you're going to save enough money to send your child to school, you have to bank on the fact that you're going to do the work to educate that child on the process of that so that child can qualify for necessary loans that they need to qualify for.
Okay, so are you saying we shouldn't save for our children's education? I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
That shouldn't be your primary focus.
What should be the primary focus? Helping them to discover their tags?
Helping them to identify who they are and then pursuing them and building them in that place. Okay. Building them in that space. But there's a book, I think it's written by John Maxwell. It says talent is never enough.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I've read that book and I've taught from that book, yeah.
Okay, so basically you can have 2 identical people with the same skill levels, and it's going to be effort that determines who is better than the other. Okay. Effort and character, yes. So when we talk about that, and I know it sounds like we way off of money, but it always comes back to, what do you do personally? What is your, you mentioned earlier about credit. I did a post this week on a page and I asked, why is it that credit repair, liquor stores, check cashers, payday lenders are predominantly in our communities only?
Well,
only.
There's a reason.
And then you say, well, credit repair helped me. Well, maybe it did help you. Okay. But it only helped you to do one thing. It's not going to help you in the terms of creating wealth. And anybody tells you otherwise is lying to you.
Wait a minute now. Okay. Now tell the listening audience why you are uniquely positioned to make that statement. Because most of them don't know that you worked for Equifax for a long time. Because
I have worked for Equifax, and I also worked for TransUnion. Okay. But the knowledge that I acquired from those entities did not give me the knowledge to be able to say what I just said to you. Credit is a component that is used by all individuals. across the board, all spectrums of life. Credit is used.
Mm-hmm.
A credit scoring system has been attached to the process, even in business. You know, we call it a FICO score, but in business, we call it a paydex score.
Mm-hmm.
And in personal credit, which a lot of people don't understand, has nothing to do with business credit. In personal credit, the maximum number that you can get is 850. In business credit, the maximum number you can get is 100. In personal credit, you can only have 2 or 3 creditors or 2 or 3 entities on your credit report or trade lines, or you can have 50. Doesn't matter. But each of them
Personal.
would be on personal
Okay.
in order to get a credit score. It doesn't matter. You can have as many as you can hold, what your capacity is.
Okay.
In business, it is required that you have a minimum of 6 trade lines.
Okay.
So just understanding the difference, 2 different ball games. It's like playing softball and going out there playing major league fastball. You know, somebody's shooting you a slider, and you've only seen fastballs all your life.
Okay. I think the controversy in what you said is that you said credit has nothing to do with building wealth. And I think a lot of people will kick against that. A lot of people will say, you're crazy. You gotta have credit. You gotta have good credit to to be wealthy in this country. So I want you to delve a little bit deeper into that.
Let me tell you why you don't need credit to become wealthy. I mean, you don't need credit, doesn't create wealth for you,
Okay.
right? Credit is not a wealth creator. Credit becomes typically the result of how you have managed money.
Okay.
A credit score is a number associated to your credit behavior, to the credit that has been extended to you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's walk it back for a moment. I'm not going to talk about credit. I'm just going to talk about a financial life that will make you sovereign.
Okay.
Okay. You have a job, and on this job, you earn a salary that pays you enough money that you have a minimum of $300 left every month. You have student loans, you have a car payment, you have a mortgage. You're not a renter, you have a mortgage. So even in having a mortgage, you say, well, I had to have credit to get a mortgage. Not necessarily, because there's alternative credit. If you paid a light bill at an apartment complex, if you paid a gas bill at an apartment complex, if you paid the apartment complex on time, those are 3 elements that can be used to establish credit for you to purchase a house. Imagine that. So I just said, if you paid your light bill, paid your gas bill, paid your phone bill, and paid your rent on time, you have 4 elements now that can be used as alternative credit to buy a FHA home.
Okay.
All right. So that had nothing to do with a credit or credit score. That had 4 elements showing you paying your bills and your obligations on time. Secondly, so now that you're doing these things, right? Now you want to open up a bank account. Do not go and open up a free checking account, the worst account in the world to have. Okay. I know it's the first step. It's the first step. Hear me. It's the first step. So you need to get in the bank. But once you get into the banking system, you want to now do your due diligence. What is your due diligence? You need to look at your bank and research your bank. My bank says that I need to have a minimum average daily balance of $1,500, and they would never charge me fees. Oh, really? So now that average daily balance, a minimum of $1,500, is spread across your checking account, your savings account. Oh, by the way, open up a money market account, So now you have $500 in each of these accounts. Not a lot of money. You're not wealthy, but you're saving, right? And if you have $300 left over your pay, it's only going to take you roughly what? About 5 months
To accumulate
that money, right? So now you have enough money in your bank account that now qualifies your average daily balance, so that now you don't have any fees charged against you. Now you have created a financial fingerprint with your bank. You have checking, savings, money market. Now you look at your bank in another way. My bank is also a process for me to create wealth. Most people do not know this. Banking is in three forms. And I'm gonna let some of y'all, those of y'all that's on Facebook and everything, what are the three forms of banking? If you're listening, write them in. I can't see the answers. Hopefully,
I'll check it.
okay. What are the three forms of banking? What is the three forms of banking? And I'm gonna pause for a minute and talk about something else. I'm gonna come back to the banking piece.
Okay, let me put that in the comments.
Yeah. What is the three forms of banking? And I guarantee if any one person get it right before I give the answer, I will send you a copy of my book, Wealth Increasing Now. I will send you a copy of it. Just so, matter of fact, I will give you the download version of that and one of my other books. Send it to you, get it out to you today so you can have them both tonight.
Okay.
All right. What are the three forms of banking? And I know you're not going to get it. I can leave that up there probably for a day.
Okay, Frederick Wary says wealth management is one. That's the only feedback we have so far. So I think you're gonna have to tell us.
Frederick said what now?
He said wealth management is one of the three forms of banking. That was his reply.
Tell him to inbox you his email.
Okay, sure.
Because, and let me tell you why I want him to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and give him a book. Right.
All right.
And I'm going to tell you why. He went at one of them. He's absolutely correct. There's three banking elements. There's personal banking, investment banking, and wealth management. Y'all, please say that behind me. There's personal banking, there's investment banking, and there's wealth management.
Okay.
Personal banking, investment banking, and wealth management. Each of those levels are completely different levels, has absolutely nothing to do with credit, but has everything in the world to do with you and your ability to accumulate wealth. So now, how do you do that in my bank? Well, you spent 5 months and you put $1,500 in checking, savings, and money market, right? So the next cycle, you spend the next 5 months, you're going to put $1,500 into a CD, an individual retirement account, and a brokerage account, all at your bank, right? And you're still paying your bills on time now. You're still doing those things. You're doing your due diligence there. So now you have a checking, savings, money market, a CD, a brokerage account, and an individual retirement account at the same bank, at the same financial institution, right? And so that means you have accumulated at this point, within a year and a half, roughly about $4,000, $5,000 that you have in the bank. And you didn't change your lifestyle. You just changed the way you focus with your money. So the next time you need to go buy a car and you go to your bank and you sit down with your banker and you say, listen, I need to buy an automobile. And I want to spend about $18,000 or $20,000 for a nice pre-owned vehicle. And they say, well, okay, what is your social security? Let me look at your accounts. And they pull up your bank account. And now they see that you have a checking, savings, money market, CD. Now you are banking with them. 90% of their decision is right there. If you don't have any of those things, now somebody's saying, well, you need a credit reference. You need somebody to co-sign for you.
Okay.
You don't have a financial fingerprint.
Okay,
So,
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? What about the person that doesn't have that 300 extra? What do they do?
They have it. It may not be 300, it may only be 100. And you say, well, Rob, how do you say that? There are very few people who are actually living paycheck to paycheck. All right.
Okay, now.
There's some people there that's living paycheck to paycheck out of default. Give you an example of that.
Okay.
One of the programs that I teach, we had a family. So here it is. Here's a question. I want to phrase it correctly. And should
Okay.
you pay more than the minimum payment on your credit card, on your credit card debts? Yes or no?
Should you pay more than the minimum payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? So my answer is no.
Tell us why.
Never pay additional money on your credit card. Minimum payments only. So I have a family that I coach who was paying additional money every month to try to eliminate some $40,000 plus in credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
And they was paying in some cases $200-300 extra on individual accounts, on different accounts, to
Okay.
try to eliminate that debt. I told them, stop doing that. Pay the minimum. Before they started paying only the minimum, they only had about $75 to $100 left every month, bringing in $5,000 a month in income. When we got them to stop making additional payments on their credit cards and make minimum payments only, there was an infusion of over $750 back into the household.
Okay.
So they went from having $100 left over to having $850 left over a month. Right?
Okay.
So now they have financial power. That financial hardship where everything was tight and they didn't seem like they could breathe, they were choking themselves.
Okay.
Now that they're making minimum only payments, now they could target and focus. Give you an example. If you have $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
your minimum payment is $35.
Okay.
And then every month you're going to send an additional $100 to pay off that $1,000 balance, with the interest occurring at 24% a month. You're not going to make any new charges. How long would it take you to pay that off?
24%. Wow.
How long would it take you to pay that off? But let me ask you this. If you took $100 and set it aside for 10 months, how much would you have?
$1,000.
$1,000. How much was your debt?
$1,000.
$1,000. So you can guarantee that in 10 months, you can pay off that $1,000 debt.
And still have more room in your monthly budget, is what you're saying.
Have more room in your monthly budget to move and do other things.
Okay.
It's really being taught the right way.
Okay.
Interest rates will kill you, but you don't have to focus and target on interest rates, because if you focus on the elimination of it, yes, you're going to pay some interest. Give you another example. Here's a hot one. All of you have been taught this. Make an extra payment every year on your mortgage. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
So your mortgage is $1,200 a month. So every month you're going to pay $1,200, and then magically around the 11th or the 12th month of the year, you're going to pay an extra $1,200 to knock off some principal so that you can pay off your mortgage early. So if you start now on a 30-year mortgage, you may be able to knock off 7 to 11 years off that mortgage. That's factual. You could Google that and find that.
Okay.
Right? Even if you did the biweekly thing, they tell you could do something similar, right?
Yeah.
So here's the basic thing that you need to understand. If you took $1,200 and paid $100 a month on your mortgage,
$100 extra.
$100 extra towards your mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
that will outdo biweekly and an extra payment per year. You say, well, how would that do that? Well, your interest is calculated every month. Those of you that have mortgage statements, go look at your last 3 mortgage statements, right? And you look at your principal payment and you look at your interest payment. You'll find that your principal payment went up $2 and your interest payment dropped $2.
Mm-hmm.
That's because your balance changed every month, right? So now imagine If you make an extra payment every year, you wait 11 months. That means the interest calculated on its normal pace for 11 months, and then you made a principal payment and you're going to get a reduction. That reduction would not be greater than the reduction that you would have got over the cycle of the year, because you got one principal payment over that cycle of 13 months or 12 months versus 12 principal reductions over the course of the month, which changes the calculation of the interest.
You busting up stuff, Rob. You busting up stuff, Rob. Okay, so
factual.
Yes, but is a different way than what most people have been, like you said, what most people have been taught.
Money is mental.
Money is mental. One thing I do want to say though is in the examples that you gave, for example, with the credit card, right? Not just making that minimum payment and putting that $100 somewhere else or that extra money somewhere else. You gave the example that you owed $1,000 on the credit card. The only thing I want to say, okay, is you got to have the discipline to leave that money alone, right? Well, if you want to pay it, if you want to take that $100 a month or whatever and pay it off after 10 months, then you got to have the discipline to leave that money alone for 10 months, right?
What make discipline simple?
A plan and automating it.
Well, let's go beyond just a plan, okay? Because we all know that a plan can help you become more disciplined.
Okay.
But in the mindset of someone that needs to become disciplined, what is the motivating factor? You know, the Bible teaches us that would we pull a man into our facility and not deal with the needs of the man? You know, we could clean him up. We can put clothes on him, but if we didn't deal with his inner issue, right? We've done nothing for him.
Okay.
Right? Financially, if we don't change your mindset, if I cannot show you a picture of your financial freedom, not the financial freedom that I can have, not the financial freedom that someone else can have, what you can have.
Okay.
You, Pastor Reeves, I'm telling you, you can be out of debt in 6 years with $20,000 in your bank account and you don't change your lifestyle. You and your family still can do the things that you enjoy doing. I'm saying this is for you. This is what you can do. Then you're like, oh, wow, I can actually do this. Then you say, show me. And then I show you. If these things are done, it's not changing lifestyle. Mind you, not changing lifestyle, changing the way you manage money.
Okay.
See, when you tell
money is mental, because money is mental.
you tell a man to change his lifestyle. Like I use this phrase that I tell men that they should always use a belt on their wives. Use a belt on their wives. Use a belt on them. I tell men.
You're gonna have to explain that, right?
Yes, I do. But having a man having the concept of using a belt on a woman, the first thing when a woman hears that, she like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Did he just say use a belt? Do you know what he's implying? And her first thought is something physically abusive, right? I'm saying a belt is an acronym for building an economical life together.
All right, there you
go.
So
now there's a different perspective on that. Now she's saying, hold it. My man is going to be focused on building an economical life together with me. Then that's encouragement, because the battle that I hear from families is that, well, he don't want to save his money.
Somebody in the comments said, can he repeat that, please? Repeat the belt? Somebody's like, please repeat that. One of my sons who's married is like, please repeat that. I'm sure he wants his wife to hear that.
Yeah. Building an economical life together. Building an economical life together. See, here's the thing. For all the men that's out there listening, right? Your wife probably have never heard of Rob Wilson in Atlanta. Okay. And so you can have her Google Rob Wilson in Atlanta, but you go home, when you see your wife again, or you're going to call or whatever, you can send her a text and say, hey, this guy named Rob Wilson said, I need to use a belt on you. And use capital letters. B.E.L.T. I need to use a belt on you. You have triggered something in her that's going to cause her to like, what are you talking about? Who, you can't keep listening to people like that. And the moment that you tell her that, you need to be prepared to articulate to her, I want to build an economical life together with you.
Okay.
It
Guess
takes
what?
it takes the wind out of her, It's like, you
Yeah.
want to do what? You want to do what? Hold on. What did you just say? Okay, you kidding now, right? But see, if you're focused and you're sincere about it, you start a whole nother cycle of life and on a financial path together.
Okay. Listen, guess what? We're already at the end of our time.
Oh, get out of here.
No, we're at the end of our time.
Wow.
Um, but the good news for those of you that are watching and those of you that are listening, will listen to the podcast, is that Rob will be back with us next week. So that's the good news.
I didn't even finish the credit piece.
I know the time goes fast. That's why, when you talk about stuff you're passionate about, the time goes very quickly. So I want to do just a lightning round of questions with you. You are the author of Unlocking Wealth, right? Unlocking Wealth is, I think, your first book, or
It was, yeah, one of the first.
okay, Unlocking Wealth and Wealth Increasing Now. When?
Yes.
But apart from your own books, what book have you read in the last 6 months to a year that you would recommend to those seeking financial freedom, and why?
Wow. I will probably ask them to go read the book, "The Richest Man from Babylon," and I will impress upon you, don't read the book,
Okay.
get the audio version of it, because a lot of you, some of you that's even listening to me, have read that book before in your life. You
Mhm.
went across that book and you read, everybody told you at one point, because it was a very hot book, "The Richest Man from Babylon." A lot of people know about that book, but when you ask them, what did you glean from that book? They can't tell you nothing. Can't
Okay.
tell you a single thing. And it's not possible that you can read that book and not have a transitional mind shift in your mind.
Okay.
It's just not possible. If you can read that book or hear that book and not have a transitional shift
Mhm.
in your mind, something's wrong with you.
Okay. It's called The Richest Man from Babylon. Do you
Yeah.
happen to remember the author?
Oh
If not,
gosh.
people can just Google it. I'm sure they'll find it.
Yeah, they can Google it, and YouTube will give you the audio version of it. And please listen, please listen to the audio version. The lessons from the audio version will resonate with you quicker and faster, and it will just bless your spirit.
Okay. Next lightning round question. Next quick question before we wrap up. What do you see as the greatest challenge to financial literacy and wealth building, and why?
The greatest challenge is individual readiness.
Mm, mm,
Individual readiness.
yeah.
It
Okay.
has to be ready. You have to be mentally ready. You have to be fed up. You have to be at a point where you are tired. And then on top of that, you have to accept something. This is what you need to accept. You don't know what you don't know. Let me say that again. You
Mhm.
don't know what you don't know. I don't know a lot about technology, but there's something else that I don't know that I don't know that I know nothing about.
Okay.
And it's in that learning stage that when you are ready, that your mind open up to allow you to learn what you don't know.
That's so good. When the student is ready, the teacher
Yeah.
will appear.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Okay, next question. Just two more questions. Next question. What leader in your industry is currently inspiring you, and why?
Wow. In my industry,
Yeah.
he's not necessarily in my industry, but I will claim him in my industry. Warren Buffett.
Okay.
And I say Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett, his name is not new to most people. But when you look at what he does and what he has done, and I will even go out on the limb and say the humility that he carries.
Okay.
And the reason why I say he has a substantial amount of humility, he never broadcasts where he's putting his money in terms of who he's benefiting. And he's
Okay.
benefiting a lot of people. But most importantly than that, I want y'all to check this out, right? He can be the richest man that ever lived on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
On the earth, with the exception of Jesus and the heavenly gifts.
What about Solomon?
Even Solomon.
Okay.
Even Solomon. And let me tell you why. Berkshire Hathaway, I think that's what it's called, is his stock.
Okay.
And it's a Class A stock. Matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can't give you the actual number at the time that I'm speaking this, so that it will have a point of reference that you will really understand the significance of what I'm saying.
Okay.
BR.
Rachel put the author of the book in there for us in the comments. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Tell her thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Currently, his Class A stock, listen to this very carefully, people.
Okay.
This is probably more money than most of us will make in 5-10 years. One share of his stock is $286,550 for
No.
one share.
One share?
One
Now,
share.
People need to understand that. By one share?
Yes.
Is
one
how
share.
much? For one share.
For one single share.
Okay, so we need to give the people a frame of reference, because let's say, for example, one share of Home Depot might be $100 or $200, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Delta
that's
Airlines, $24, or Nike could be $150. Yes. So
one share.
He can easily take that stock and split it to where you can get 3 for 1, 5 for 1, 10 for 1, and bring the value down so that regular folks like you and I can afford that.
You're not regular folk, Rob.
Yes, I am when it comes to that stock.
All right. Okay.
That stock, I am.
Okay.
Okay. But when you think about him breaking that down and making it affordable for the rest of us to buy into that company, it will make him a quadrillionaire. It will make him a trillionaire. He will have more money and value than anyone that has ever lived on the earth. And he knows this. So you know what he did? That was, look at it. I'm gonna show it to you again. You see where it say Class A?
Yeah.
Right? So he said, well, those that can buy that will buy that. I'm gonna create a Class B for the rest of them. And Class B sells for $190 a share.
Okay.
So imagine if he would have taken this one and broke it down to $190 a share, with all the people that's currently buying that one. You follow what I'm saying? People are still buying that stock at $286,000 a share. That's not you and I. That's the 1%ers.
Not yet. Not yet. We're gonna get there though.
I don't know if I will ever buy it at that price. My point is this. My point is this, is that he's humble in spirit, he's diligent, and then he's focused. He literally has said, if you go out and read his bio, they asked him, why haven't you split your stock? He said, I created the stock for people who can afford it to buy it.
Okay. Wow,
people
that's
who can
powerful.
afford it.
That's powerful. So,
So
wow.
I just want him in my lifetime before he passed on, before I pass on. I would just love for him to be able to split that stock so that we can say that Warren Buffett is the richest man that ever lived on the earth. Because I
Wow.
would have loved to have been in that cycle, in that time frame,
In that time
in
frame.
that period, and
Wow.
watching him do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at 2 of his conferences. So to do that, you know, it's just powerful.
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry, I
right.
know that was too long.
No, it's okay. So last question. Last question. Talk to our listening audience. Tell them where they can learn more about you and what you're doing, your books and all of that. So just tell them where they can find you and learn about what you're doing.
I am Rob Wilson. Start there. I am Rob Wilson. I am Rob Wilson, Instagram. I am Rob Wilson .com. Change the speed. Change the speed of wealth creation is one of the things that we are trying to do now. Wealth wisdom stewardship. If you don't mind, I could plug the class. We have an upcoming class coming up. That's 8 weeks.
Sure, please do.
Wherever you, huh?
Please
Excuse
do.
me, I'm sorry.
I said, please
Yeah,
do plug the class.
wherever you are, you can take this class. It's an online class for 8 weeks. And I promise you this, if you take this class, the way you see money, the way you think about money will never be the same in your life ever again. We will give you a financial plan that suits your lifestyle and who you are, and you'll begin to experience financial freedom almost immediately.
Okay. Wonderful. I am robwilson.com. And then also
Yes.
wealthwisdom712.com, correct? Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
Wealthwisdom712.com. And I'm going to talk to you about what we can do for not I hesitate to say my church, but our local congregation in terms of wealth wisdom too, because I'd love them to get that information as a congregation. Okay, well,
listen, we actually have reduced the cost of it. So online, whether it's for a couple or individual, you know, it's a great opportunity. But here's the thing though, Pastor, is that someone challenged me the other day and they said, material things is not wealth.
mm-hmm.
Right? And I didn't debate him because I didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Okay.
And I want to say this to the audience. Material things, don't allow someone to tell you that you cannot have and own material things. Because in the book of Deuteronomy, when God said, it is I that give you the ability to create wealth.
Mm-hmm.
At that particular time, he was talking about livestock.
That's right.
He was talking about land.
Material things.
He was talking about gold and silver. It was material.
Yeah.
When they measured families and their wealth, they looked at your livestock. And now today we have to look in the marketplace. Okay. What kind of stocks are you holding? And then I think it's thank you, Lord. I think it's Proverbs 24.
Mm-hmm.
Where it talks about wisdom builds a house, understanding establishes it, and knowledge fills it with pearls and fine treasures. Okay. Now, pearls and fine treasures, not material. I don't know what material is. So I'm not saying that you need to go out and have bling bling. Mm-hmm. I'm saying there's a way that you can be wealthy and honor God in the process.
That's right. And I think that it all goes back to those 3 P's that you shared. You talked about, what is it? Provide, protect, and preserve, right? And it takes resources to do that. And what I've been screaming with Wealth Matters is that if we really want to take the gospel to all nations, it's going to take money to do that. It's going to take material money, not just money, but other material resources. So, yeah. We have a tax.
You
Say
got
it
to
again.
tag people though. You have to tag people.
Okay. Okay. You're
You
talking
have
about
to
those
play the game of
talents,
tag.
abilities, gifts, and skills. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You got to tag people because until they understand it, until they relate to their talent, ability, and gifts and skills, their time, their accountability, their giving, and they're speaking to themselves, until they can relate to those things individually, they will always be in bondage. And the scripture is very clear about what we should do. I hate to, I know you said time is up, but I gotta finish it. You remember when I said that the scripture, when we were talking about nothing but, you remember the nothing but? Let me
Yeah.
finish the nothing but comment.
Okay.
When the prophet came to the widow woman and she said, prophet, my husband, your friend is dead, and the creditors are calling upon us to pay his debts, and they are asking for my sons. And the prophet asked her, woman, what do you have in the house of value? She said, nothing but mental.
Mm-hmm.
Money is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but.
Mm-hmm.
But he took that but off of her and told her, go borrow all the vessels you can and clean them and fill them with oil and
That's right.
sell them.
Yep. I preached that. I preached out of that 2 weeks ago.
Nothing but.
Nothing but. I preached out of that same passage 2 weeks ago. So those of you that are listening, that are part of the local congregation, God is speaking and confirming. Please don't take it for granted. This is our season. This is our
You
time.
didn't tell me this either.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
That's one of my messages that I tell people all the time. Do not allow someone to persuade you that you have nothing, because there is
There's
something.
something in your house.
There's something.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you again, Rob. Thank you for being with us. And I'm so glad you're going to be back with us again next week. So those of you that are still on, please mark your calendars. Tune in again next week, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Remember, we are just taking our time out of our time, our schedules, just to come and bless you with this. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and please support the podcast. If you go to purposehouse.net/wealth matters, you'll see all the places that you can subscribe to the podcast, all the platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, Anchor, all of the platforms, and you'll see how you can just support the podcast. If you've been blessed, listen, people pay money for the things that you've heard here today. And so just be a blessing, sow a seed, whatever you have, just sow something and say, this was a blessing and it's changed my life, because I know some of you listening, just what you've heard in the last 50 minutes has changed your life. It's more blessed to give than to receive. So that we can keep doing this and keep taking time to do this. Rob, thank you again.
Thank
And I
you.
look forward to continuing the conversation again next week. All right, this concludes this episode of Wealth Matters. God bless you, everybody.